Memories fall and build up in the heart like snow. But the snow of memories never melts.
You never know when death will strike. Maybe that's a good thing. Like many things in life, death often occurs at the most inopportune times. But once death happens, it's swift, potent, precise. In its wake, it leaves a nasty, insidious process we call grief. When the death is violent, that grief becomes magnified to an unshakable degree, affecting your mind and your body. But I wonder, when you lose a loved one to violence, can that grief be so unshakable that it has the ability to influence your perception of reality? How about your perception of justice? For that matter, what is justice? In the words of Dr. King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Of course, he was speaking of justice as it pertains to the macrocosm of humanity. I'm speaking of the microcosm of my own perceptions. The microcosm of my own experience with a specific injustice that occurred on April 26, 2018. What does justice look like through the lens of, say, anger? How about through the lens of depression? Which of my memories of Terry most adequately form a comparable perception of that particular stage of grief? I feel that's an interesting road to go down, an interesting exercise in attempting to understand the complications of my deepest emotions. It won't be easy. In fact, it'll be extremely difficult, but at the end of it all, it will be undeniably cathartic. This picture was taken back in 2005. I was 15. I think Terry was 13, maybe about to turn 14. Appropriately, or perhaps inappropriately, it was taken after attending a funeral. It's the last picture I have in my possession of Terry and I together. Think about that. A picture taken 14 years ago is the last picture of us together. It's crazy the amount of time between this picture and now. Maybe crazy isn't the right word. Sad? Yeah, sad feels right. Why is it the last picture that I have of Terry and I together? Was it some subconscious way of me trying to make it seem that Terry and I weren't related? People did often ask if we were actually related. He was more rambunctious. I was, and still am, more restrained. If you had met us, you too would wonder if we were related. Occasionally, I wondered the same thing. Maybe it wasn't a subconscious decision to have very few photos of us. It was starting to seem calculated, methodical, intentional. When people did ask if he was my brother, I would often find myself hesitating to tell them. If I say yes, wouldn't this make me look bad? People judge people all the time for stupid reasons. Guilty by association, right? I wanted to avoid that. I needed to avoid that. Make myself look good. Make myself feel good. Of course, these were mere thoughts. After some hesitation, I would finally confirm to people that we were indeed related. Before and after Terry's funeral, my mom was going into overdrive to make sure that Terry's murderer would get what was coming to him. Hashtag Justice for Terry was born on social media. Family members posted pictures and statuses using this hashtag to make sure others were aware of what was going on. A grieving family sharing the process with the rest of the world. Social media can sometimes display the absolute beauty of humanity. While my family was sharing pictures of Terry and uploading videos of him, I was going about my life as if nothing happened. They don't need me to be a part of this. I've got my own life to worry about. Why should I care? Terry and I hadn't spoken in years. We hadn't even seen each other in quite some time. Why should I have to force myself to pretend to care? I stayed in my own lane. As far as I was concerned, everything was fine. The situation will sort itself out. Listen to that. A fucking situation? Seriously, Carlton? But that's how I felt at the time. I figured this whole thing would go by quickly and everything would get back to normal. For the longest time, I avoided reading the couple of news articles that mentioned Terry. My mom even did an interview for our local news station that I avoided watching for the longest time. I needed to bury the emotions I was feeling. I avoided going on social media because I knew that damned hashtag would show up. I didn't need that in my life. Everything was fine. Everything is fine. Everyone else can deal with the process of making sure Terry's killer gets the punishment he deserves. I needed to force myself into normalcy. As long as I tell myself everything is fine, everything will be fine, right? Right? October 2015. If I'm not mistaken, that was the last time I saw Terry alive. My mom and I had gone to where he was living at the time so that she could give him food or money. Can't really remember which. Maybe it was both. It's not important. I do remember not wanting to be near him. I didn't want to look at him. I didn't even want to talk to him. At best, all I could get out were caveman grunts in response to what he was saying to me. I just wanted to be back at my apartment. And I think Terry sensed this because he stopped talking to me and went on talking with our mom. Sadly, this was a typical interaction between the two of us. An unspoken grudge. It didn't seem like standard sibling rivalry, no. This seemed to be something deeper. Most of the time when we would speak to each other, that would lead to an argument. A volley of insults thrown from both sides. Sometimes it would even lead to blows or close to it. We were truly opposites. At least, that's how it seemed. Maybe we were more similar than either of us wanted to acknowledge. I know it's been said that usually you have a grudge against someone because they have a quality or set of qualities that you are trying to suppress within yourself. I know it wasn't always like this between Terry and I. There was a time when he and I got along very well. 2 peas in a pod. As kids, I remember we formed our own singing duo known as the Two Twins. Redundant, yeah, I know. It was inspired by groups like Boys to Men and Jagged Edge. That was fun. I loved that. But I can't help but wonder what happened to create a divide between us. I'm honestly not sure. Whenever we fought, it was never just one thing. It was always a series of things. There's an episode of The Amazing World of Gumball titled The Parents, in which Nicole's parents come to visit and there's this seemingly endless grudge between Nicole and her parents. In the episode, whenever they argue, one of them will bring up a specific event believed to be the cause of their rift, but this was then contradicted by another event, and so on, and blah blah blah, you get the point. Watching the episode, it truly felt like the creative team on that show had taken notes from their observations of the interactions between Terry and I. By the end of the episode, Nicole and her parents end up reconciling, in part thanks to a beautiful ballad by Gumball. Terry and I didn't have this chance. No, that's not true. We had the chance. Neither of us wanted to reconcile. Well, it was more like I didn't want to reconcile. I was stubborn. I am stubborn. I knew there was a rift between us and I made the conscious decision not to repair it. I guess, in my mind, it wasn't just a grudge. There was a rage. A deep, dark rage. A rage was building inside of me as I stood in the room with my family during our first meeting with the attorneys representing Terry. An indiscriminate rage. I did my best not to show it. I was angry at the attorneys, angry at my family, angry at myself. Most of all, I was angry at Terry's murderer. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there may have also been some anger aimed at Terry as well. Why did he allow himself to end up in such a situation? After introductions, the attorneys gave us a basic summary of what the next steps were in regards to achieving some semblance of justice for Terry. They told us that the harshest punishment Terry's murderer would get is life in prison. What a fucking joke. This wasn't said out loud, mind you. I maintained an outward appearance of calm resolve. Inside, however, the rage was reaching a fever pitch. My rage was becoming less indiscriminate, more precise. It was geared at the system, geared at the coward that took my brother's life. He deserves the death penalty. He deserves to be hung. He deserves to be put in front of a firing squad with my family and I as the executioners, with the last bullet fired by me as he slumps to the ground in a Swiss cheese mess of blood and gore. He deserves the needle. I want to be the one to administer it. They already have non-medical personnel administering lethal injections to convicted criminals anyway. Let me shoot him like he shot Terry, revive him, and then do it all over again like Prometheus being forever consumed by that eagle. This guy had to pay for what he did. I am lost in a fog. An infinite fog. A suffocating fog. How long have I been here? How did I get here? Why am I here? It's as if the fog itself controls my movements. Disembodied voices emanate from beyond the fog. It feels as if they're speaking through me. Languages I'm not familiar with. Languages not of this world. At least, not a world I'm familiar with. Something takes shape deeper in the fog, forming itself from the fog. An enemy? A friend? Neither? I can't move. The fog makes the decision for me. The shape waxes and wanes, unsure as to what its final form will be. Closer. It starts to resemble some semblance of a humanoid figure. Closer. I'm afraid. I want to leave. Closer. The fog shifts around me, becoming less opaque, less suffocating. Closer. More transparent, more welcoming. Closer. Clearer. Clearer. And clearer still as I get closer. It's Terry. The figure is Terry. The fog subsides. Now it's just Terry and I in a featureless, timeless space. A world between worlds. He's standing next to a table adorned with an assortment of sea creatures. And these aren't just your surface level sea creatures either. Many of them are the ones from the ocean's depths. The ones that haven't seen or even know what light is. The kind you can make a serious defense in favor of alien life. They writhe and gurgle. Chills run up and down my spine like Usain Bolt on an infinite track. I look at Terry, starting to say something, but I stop. An octopus has its slimy tentacles wrapped firmly around Terry's neck, its head halfway down his throat. In an instant, I'm already trying to get the oceanic beast away from Terry, pulling at its tentacles, using all of my strength, gritting my teeth, pleading with the octopus to let Terry go, to take me instead. The octopus's grip gets tighter as it slides further and further down Terry's throat. Tears cascade down my cheeks. Take me instead. Take me instead. Please. 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 During all of this, Terry just stares at me, calm, never breaking eye contact. But it feels as if he's also looking past me. Is he looking at my future? Is he looking at our past? Whatever it is, a deep fear overwhelms me. Is it shame? Is it anger? I plead with the octopus, or am I pleading with Terry, to let go? Let go! Let go! Let go! Let go! Let go! This was one of the first dreams I had after Terry was killed. It is by far the most surreal, definitely the most memorable. Typical dreams of Terry involve me showing up like some superhero to rescue him just before his murderer pulls the trigger. Sometimes I plead with the murderer to take my life instead. This usually involves Terry being swapped out for me, or me somehow successfully convincing the murderer to kill me. I could have saved him. I can be convincing. His killer would have listened to me. I was always the more level-headed one. I could have saved Terry. Legal negotiations are interesting. At least I think so. Evidence from the prosecutors is gathered and presented to the defense attorneys. Those defense attorneys look over the evidence and talk with their client in order to explain what the best possible outcome can be for him or her. The prosecutors and defense get together and reach a suitable compromise. Or at least a suitable compromise is supposed to be reached. And then from there, As of this writing, negotiations have gone on between the prosecution and the defense for damn near 2 years. From what I've been told, it's mostly due to Terry's murderer not being satisfied with the options that have been presented. Him not wanting to be locked up, thinking he could get a better deal as long as he plays out the clock. This whole process is so exhausting. I just want it all to be over. I want the dreams to stop, the nightmares to stop, the pain to stop, the longing to stop, the guilt. I want the guilt to stop. Please. Sometimes thoughts of just letting the guy go enter my mind. Just give him whatever he wants. Make it all stop. I hate seeing my mom go to every hearing only to have it delayed for the umpteenth time. I hate having to hear over and over and over again the same shit as to why this guy won't just take responsibility for what he did. I'll do anything to end this. It's enough already. It's enough. Terry was born on September 8th, 1991. He was a healthy baby, a happy baby, the third born. If he were still alive now, he'd have had his 28th birthday. I'm sure he would have done it big, celebrating with his friends, wanting to celebrate with his family. Would he have wanted me there? Would I have wanted to be there? The last time I remember there being a big hubbub about Terry's birthday was when he turned 21. I was locked away in my room, like always, while everyone else was celebrating. Terry and his friends were having a good time drinking and being loud outside. To be fair, I'm just not a fan of celebrations or parties in general. At one point, a knock came to my door. It was Terry. He was a bit drunk. Maybe a lot drunk. He still had the drink in his hand.
What you doing?
Nothing. Just nothing.
Why ain't you partying?
Man, I don't want to. I'm doing my own thing. Those feelings of resentment and uneasiness were building inside of me. I just wanted to be left alone. I didn't care about him or his party. Terry closed the door and moved closer to me. He sat his drink on my desk. This annoyed me. Maybe he saw the annoyance on my face as I stared at the drink.
You hate me?
No.
Liar. Do you hate me?
No,
Liar.
no, we're just different. You have your thing and I have mine. He was now sitting on my desk. He rummaged in his pocket and took out a gun, placing it next to his drink. It was a tiny thing. Not sure what specific caliber of gun it was. I remember a feeling of sadness coming over me. A numbing sadness.
Nice, ain't it?
Why do you need that?
I gotta protect me and mine.
From what?
Everyone.
He then went into this long sermon about the life he chose and the need to protect his family. My attention, however, was almost exclusively on the gun. Within the span of his little diatribe and me staring at the gun, that numbing sadness within me was becoming sharper, painful even. It didn't feel like my own sadness. It felt as if I was somehow telepathically connected to Terry's sadness. Kind of like that anime Kiss Naiver in which that group of teenagers could feel each other's pain. He's going to get himself killed, I thought to myself. Why don't I make the effort to talk him out of this lifestyle? I need to show him that there are better options. Of course, me being me, I ignored these feelings. Terry has the freedom to choose whatever life he wants. Like me, he's stubborn. He wouldn't listen anyway. It was pointless. It would be the equivalent of me making a cogent argument about the values of diversity to someone like Paul Joseph Watson. Terry left the room, taking his drink with him. But the gun was still on my desk. You don't have to give it back to him, Carlton. You don't want to come across as endorsing his lifestyle, do you? Do as if you took part in those killings. You want him to use it on himself.
Maybe you should use it on yourself. Show him what all this hood shit can breed.
I picked up the gun and took it back to Terry. I said nothing to him, and he said nothing to me. I went back to my room. I needed to forget these thoughts. I needed normalcy. I needed mundanity. I needed seclusion. I needed darkness.
Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask.
This is exhausting. I'm so tired of it. These memories of Terry just make me sad. A deep pain resides within me. It's a dull, full body pain. Each September that has passed since his death, I just shut down. I'm lost in a sea of memories, sad memories, angry memories, and they don't fade. Oftentimes they're as clear as day, never opaque, never ambiguous, always frightening. Sometimes I think I see him in a crowd of people when I finally decide to venture into the outside world with my wife. Sometimes, however, I wake up to see his dead body at the end of my bed, just staring at me. I'm afraid to face the memories. I'm afraid to face myself. I'm afraid to face the denial I had of him as my brother. I'm afraid to face the resentment I had towards him. I'm afraid to face the feelings of wanting to reach out to him. I'm afraid to face the sadness I feel knowing I will never see him again. Never. I could have steered him away. I should have steered him away. But now he's dead. I feel I failed myself. I feel I failed my family. I feel like I failed Terry. No amount of fancy editing, voiceover, music, or writing will cover that up. I might as well have been the one to pull the trigger on Terry. I should be the one on trial. Put me in front of the firing squad. Hang me. Force the needle into my arm. Make me suffer through the pain he suffered through before he died. Please. Please. Please.
Carlton. There's nothing you could have done.
There's nothing I could have done. No matter how many times I play the scenario of his death in my head, no matter how many dreams I have, no matter how many times I'm overwhelmed by memories of Terry, that doesn't change what happened. I can try to play the what if game all I want, but that's just all it amounts to. What if? What if I hadn't decided to make this video? What if I had never been born? What if? These last two sections were incredibly difficult to write, to talk about, to contemplate. Not just due to the subject matter or due to the onslaught of memories that it would bring my way, but due to me thinking about what I would consider acceptance. What is acceptance compared to my relationship with Terry, or at least my memories of Terry? What is acceptance compared to my perception of justice? And ultimately, what does #justice for Terry mean to me? My wife brought up the point that maybe these two sections, depression and acceptance, are so difficult for me because they are the two stages of the grieving process that I'm constantly stuck in. I've certainly accepted that Terry is dead, but have I really accepted his death? Will I ever accept his death? Of course, these stages aren't as cut and dry as this video may present them. You never really recognize which stage you're in. They often blend together. I don't believe one ever completely goes through the 5 stages of grief. It's always there even when you don't think it is. For me, it tends to be a slight dullness of my feelings, not quite depression, not quite any sort of negativity, just meh. It's the only way I can accurately describe it. For me, it conjures up the image of a merry-go-round that never stops. When you think it's starting to slow down, it always speeds right back up. My grief is forever evolving, and that leads me to the question as to whether or not I still want the death penalty for Terry's killer. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't. That view has at least remained consistent throughout these stages. I know it won't happen. At most, he'll get life in prison. Hell, the guy may only get a few years or no prison time at all. But I think that's why it's so difficult for me to truly define what justice is. Even when Terry's killer is finally sentenced, will I suddenly accept Terry's death? Will it be enough for me to say, this is true justice? I honestly don't know the answers to these questions at this point in time. Not only am I stuck with the questions in the first section, I'm stuck with these new questions in this section. What does #justice for Terry really mean for me? What do I think justice is? I may never have an answer to these questions, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It will certainly be closure when Terry's killer is finally sentenced, but I don't think that will constitute as justice. I'm not sure if anything ever will.
Time pass quick, we count money. Time to start your day off. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Sip on that dirty drink. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Woke up next to a freak. Hey, good morning. First blunt of the day to the face. Sip on that dirty Sprite and meditate. Fresh pair of truths, lust pride.